So, have any of you have done my homework? Yes or no? No. Yes or no? No. Why? What's the point of giving your homework then? You got 2 days to do it. You couldn't show the inequalities are equal? No? Yes. Yes. So remember that what did I ask you? That I asked you to show the following thing, right? That S subset of V of G minus 1 is this, right? You couldn't do this? How many of you have tried actually? Okay, so tomorrow I want that in a written sheet. Okay, is it clear? Tomorrow I want whoever is there in this lecture, I want you to write it down, right or wrong, and I want them tomorrow. Fair enough, you can give it to me as a writing. I also want others to do it. Okay? Okay, so I want this to be done. Okay. Now, so I will try to give you another example today, or another, which is called so first let's so what are bipetide graphs? We have two left and right graph, okay, and suppose the left hand side graph is also V and the right hand side graph is also, you can call it U and call it V, and cardinality of U equal to cardinality of V. You know what is perfect matching is, right? A perfect matching is set of disjoint set of edges that saturates every vertex. It means every vertex is part of some edge, okay, incident to some edge in my matching. So I want to find perfect matching, or I want to count perfect matching, okay. Do you know how to find a perfect matching in a bipetide graph? Yes or no? Yes sir. How, I mean, is it polynomial time or non-polynomial time? And how do you do it? Can anyone explain me an algorithm? Okay, so okay. Okay. I mean, it's not wrong, but it's not complete. Okay. Yeah, so just start a maximal matching. So I start with an empty set. It's a maximal matching, right? No, no, you want a maximal matching. Okay, so I greedily pick a maximal matching. Okay. what do you mean by if I do a DFS and what do you mean by DFS and then augmenting path? Is it very clear? I mean, so why can you flip it? So look, suppose, okay, for example here, I suppose I give you this, okay, and maybe some edge like this, okay. Now you start from here. What happens now? As I just do DFS, right? It's possible that in my DFS I start from X, and then I hit some big fat edge and then another big fat edge, or maybe that's not possible, okay. So another big fat edge. So what happens? I can find such an object, right? Yes, it's possible, right, by this path. How will you flip it? You understand what I mean by what do you mean by how will you flip it? How come? Look, right? Suppose this is my path. What do you mean by you can keep all this, all the set of edges which are not in matching to my matching, because look, it's a path. It's not a matching, right? No, when you do a DFS, why do they have to alter? What? So, if I do a DFS, so what? Maximal matching. Yes, you have a maximum matching. Okay. Yes. So I am saying that DFS, why can't that DFS produce a path like this? What stops it? Yes, going from unmatched, 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 some matched edge. Then it was not a? Why? Maybe there is some other edge which is incident like this. It is possible, no? Maybe why I could not put it, because I mean these are set of, but maybe there are edges like this which my path did not traverse yet. It's possible, right? So now it is not. Some such thing. Huh? Yes, of course, I need to ensure that. That's what I'm trying to ask you, right? That I mean, you just cannot tell me that start DFS and do this. So you have to do something to the graph, right? You have to make some changes to the graph. How will you ensure that? Okay, possible to do so, and here's a stupid solution to this problem. Okay, here's my graph. Okay, I look at all my matched edges. Okay, and suppose I have an unmatched vertex here. Okay, what I do, I orient this guy like this. Only the matched edges goes from U to V, and for all other edges they are like this. Okay. Now, or the other way around, we have to do it the other way around. Okay, it doesn't matter. Then you start from here. I mean, it's okay. Okay, it's okay. Okay, then all other edges are like this or like this. So you start from an unmatched vertex here, okay, unmatched vertex here because it's a, so if I have an unmatched vertex here, I also have an unmatched vertex here, right? Okay. So then if I start from, so what I can do, I look at all unmatched vertex and I can make one S, make them all the directed, look at all the unmatched guy here and make them T. Now if you do a DFS now or BFS, I don't know, whatever you want to do it, it's okay, it doesn't matter. Now you are forced, look, this is a dummy edge, it does not matter, right? But now first, because you have to go into this direction, you have to take an unmatched edge, and for the other direction to come back, the only possible edge is the matched edge. So you are forced that even a normal DFS, BFS on a directed graph is going to behave like that. And if you have come up with, if you are able to reach other unmatched vertex here, other unmatched vertex, then what is this? If you are able to reach unmatched vertex like this, right, like this, right, like this, then I can take my this thing, delete on this path, I can delete all the, so that's basically see if look at the path from S to T, any path from S to T and delete this guy and whatever the in the middle, you just sweep them up, right, and then you are happy, right, because how will any path will look like from here? It's going to be like this, unmatched, matched, unmatched, matched, maybe, I don't know, unmatched, and these guys are, because the only way to have a T to coming to T is to coming from the unmatched vertex from this side. So now, so here it is, so let's call it some special guys, this is S, some special guys T, but in the middle I have someone that I can delete this matching edges and I can add these three matching edges, right, and why it does not have any conflict, because look, in the middle of all this I am only using all those vertices which were already part of some matching, right, and for the other guys I am using those two vertices which were not part of any matching edges, so I can increase it, and because, but yeah, you do this operation many number of times and finally what you will come up with is a perfect matching or maximum size matching in a bipedal graph, but why it is correct? Who tells you that this process is correct? I mean, it's not a greedy algorithm, right? This is my algorithm, yes, this is my algorithm, but why will this algorithm always output a, what is that called? Will always output a maximum size matching of in bipedal graph? Huh? Because? So convince yourself, you know, that there is a theorem which says you that a graph is a graph, a bipedal graph M has a maximum matching if and only if it does not have any M augmenting path or something, right. So at any point of time, whatever matching I got, I try to do this procedure. If I am not able to do it, well, then you have to show that this graph does not have any M augmenting path, because, well, if I had such an augmenting path, then my procedure would have been able to capture this, right. So you have to argue some of these things. It's not as straightforward as you think. Yes, no. Okay, good. So you can find a maximum matching, or so I can also find a perfect matching if there exists one in a bipedal graph in polynomial time. Okay, but suppose I am interested in counting perfect matchings. Okay, what I am interested in? I am interested in counting perfect matching in bipedal graph. How will I do it? Is this problem also polynomial time solvable? Unfortunately, no. This problem is known as what is known in the literature called SARP complete. So those of you who know this terminology, counting perfect matching is known, something is known as SARP complete, which is like, you can, in other words, it is like NP in some sense. You can think it's even, I mean, this class is even more larger and bigger than NP. Okay, so just imagine that you cannot count perfect matching in polynomial time. Okay, and what is our objective? Our objective is to write a formula for it. I want to write a formula for it, right? And remember, the only thing which I know is my inclusion exclusion formula, and what was that? If you remember from that day, it was that for all S subset of n, summation something like this, right? Some such thing. This was the formula, right? And I gave you how I told you how to use this. For example, couple of examples I will give you. I gave one example of Hamiltonian path. Then I give you an example of coloring. Let's see how we can apply the counting perfect matching. Any idea? Yes, sure. Okay, very good. So, what will be those bad analogs? Why a matching? So, what will be my subset of good and bad? Look, we talk about object, right? We call an object is good, object is bad. Walk is called good or walk is. So, what is that corresponding object here? What should we associate here? What? What? What do you mean a permutation of other part? I said. Yes, cardinality of u equal to cardinality of v. Yes. Okay. Okay, fair enough. So, what's a bad object? Yes, that's a definition of a perfect matching in that sense, right? It's a permutation, one goes to which place and there should be an edge. You're right, perfectly valid, right? But what's bad object? But that's not covering, right? Notice one thing, I mean you people are not understanding the basic objects of, when we talked about walk, what is its length? Huh? N minus 1 or the n minus 1 edges, right? So that is an object which I considered here, right? And but somehow because of some objects collided with each other, the real number of objects became small, right? So now I also should be able to define something which, what is the cardinality of a perfect matching? N by 2, or here, so suppose this is equal to n. So my cardinality of a perfect matching is n. So I am looking for an set of object where number of objects are not small, like number of objects is still n, but they could collide or they may not cover everything. Why? If it will cover all the vertices, no. Take a spanning tree. Yes. Yes. So okay, you talk about this, but I think that also we should be able to find some. Okay, size n. Yes. If and only if it is. Okay. Agreed. Let's see. Let's see. Okay. Sure. Oh, that's very costly. Okay, so what? Okay, sure. Let's start with that. So what? So how are we going to quantify those objects? You see what I mean? So like now you have a notion of, you were right when you say, okay, let's take my family of object as edge subset of size n by 2, right, edge subset of size n by 2, right. Now we have to filter out, right, some of them are perfect matching and some of them are not perfect matching, right. Here it is a perfect matching only when, as you write, when it covers everything, and if it is not, why it is not covering, it means either it is missing some vertex here or it is missing some vertex here, because it could be something like this, okay, things like that, you are right. So now how are we going to filter it out? So you want to write something, let us say, okay, union let us call this W, right. Let us see, I mean, if I am making any sense. Now what? Look, this much is a standard, I mean, I am not doing anything, but now the object come, what do you want to write? Huh? U union V, left hand V, that is which is equal to W, okay. So what? Okay, so what he means, okay, very nice. So let us write E number of edges in the graph induced on X, okay, not n by 2, n, because both cardinality are same, okay, fair enough. Is it correct? Is it correct? Is it correct? Is it correct? But do you people understand what is happening here, right? Now look at your F, it is a H subset of size n by 2, when it is good, H subset of size n by 2, this is good, this is, if it covers all the objects, right, and how many times it is going to be counted here? Right, because of this formula, right, because those objects, because they are going to be covered, right. So look at, think of this way, those n by 2 objects is going to make some contribution here, do not think as this number you can think of this, how did this number becomes, this number is like 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus, everyone makes a contribution of 1 to this number, right. Think of, if this is 100, think of this as 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus, and then I can write for each of these 1 I can write this big summation, because sum passes through the big things, right. So now for, that is why for each object here I collect its coefficients to the total sum, right. Now look at a set of, what is good object, look at this set of objects of size n by 2, alright, and right, now I apply this formula, right. So that particular subset is going to be get cancelled. Is it clear to everyone? Yes or no? Okay, but what was so special about bipartite graph then? Did we use any property of bipartite graph here? Why can't I use this algorithm to find count perfect matching in general graph? Why can't I do this? How does it change it? Does it change? does it matter to this algorithm whether I started with a bipetile graph or a general graph if this is what I am going to write? If I start on a, look, since graph has a matching, it has an even number of, if a graph has a perfect matching, general or non-general, it has an even number of vertices. So we can assume it's some 2n, right? Then what's wrong with this formula? Is there anything wrong? Is the question clear or not? Look, where did, in this formula when I wrote, where did I use the fact that our input is a bipedal graph? Did I use at all? If I did not use, then doesn't this formula, for me, it counts all the perfect matching? Yes or no? So if I started with an n vertex, so then this algorithm takes how much running time to count? This object can be computed in polynomial time because I look at the graph now and I choose n, so I can apply. So this algorithm runs in time 2 to the power 2n, which is a lot, right? For first of all, A, right? Is everyone convinced that this formula works for general graph? I haven't used anything special about yes, please ask. Which one? EGX. So I look at the graph induced on X, okay. Now when I look at the graph induced on X, I know number of edges, right? Now that choose n. Isn't there some formula for this? What is m choose n? What is m choose n? Is it true? But how many terms are there at most? Huh? At most m terms are there, like order m terms are there. Big deal, right? Now, but the interesting thing is, try to compute this in polylog m. For graph it is not important because look, how many number of bits are here? Like in the worst case number of bits here is m choose n, because I can give you m as log m bits, n as log n bits. I say, hey, now compute me m choose n. For graph purpose, for our purpose, it's okay because that is what is not an input size. Input size is I have n vertex and m edges, so I have n plus m into log n bits, right? So I have n plus m there. So for me, I don't care. I don't need to make an algorithm which is log m. I can make an algorithm which is poly in m, and that's fine because number of terms here is this. But if stand alone, because my input is not this, my input is a graph which is very large compared to this number, and I'm allowed to make my algorithm which is polynomial in that big object. But imagine that I give you m and n, just this problem, like find m choose n. But then to do this, I can give you two inputs, right? One of bits log m, other of log n bits. I said compute, and the objective is for you to try poly log m bits algorithm. This is also possible to do, okay? But it's a fun question. Okay, beside that point, right? So now is the formula correct? And computation is very easy, right? No? Is the formula correct for general graph? Misam, are you convinced about the formula? What other things? Then please ask, right? Why it's, tell me why other things don't get cancelled. What is a property of other thing, right? What is a bad object? Try to understand that. What is a bad object and why will that get cancelled? What? Number of edges is fixed, n by n edges, right? But it's bad. Why it's bad? Because it does not cover the whole object. It does not cover, like if I look at the number of vertices which is part of these edges, it is not equal to all the vertex set. Other, because if it is, then it has to be perfect matching. It has to be. Now imagine I give you 2n vertex and I want n edges to cover all the vertex. What is? How can you do it? Because an edge can only cover 2 objects, right? So n object is a necessary condition to cover all the objects, and if this is the case, it has to be matching, because even if 2 of them collide, then you lose one vertex, right? So any object which is not a perfect matching has to have 2 vertices incident on one edge, right? And or a vertex is common to 2 edges, and if that is going to happen, then there are some vertices which is going to lose out, right? So I mean, how can you have, for example, let's draw this, okay? So I want you to have 3 edges to cover all the 6 vertex. What is the only way to cover 3 edges? Sorry, all the 6 vertex with 3 edges. What is, this is a graph, right, which has 6 vertices. I want to cover all the vertices with 3 edges. No, I mean, what will that structure be? Can it cover? If any 2 edge collide or intersect at some vertex, at least one vertex, right? So those are definitely a bad object, right? The only way to cover this by 3 edges is that it has to look like a perfect matching. Only way. What? No. No, I mean, but that's what it more or less does, no? But I have just changed the summation in the right way by doing this. Look at a bad object, right? What is a bad object? Look at this formula as just semantics. Forget about this thing. Look at this formula as semantics. Okay, just this formula as semantics. Okay, then let's try to prove, right? If we believe this, I mean the proving is trivial, right? Look at a bad set of objects. Why it is bad? As you notice, this is bad because it misses out some vertices. Okay, let's fix that subset of vertices which it misses out. Right now if I look, so basically think of this way, these are my vertices which are covered by this. Now it is going to miss out this, right? But this set of edges is also present in this graph. If I take this plus 1 vertex, it is also present in this with, I fix this guy and take 2 subsets, I take this guy and fix some 3 subsets, right? So given this, I can add any subset of this to this, and this set of edges is going to be present. Now this contribution is counted where all? That is why, right? So now if I fix that object, so I fix that object, okay, and now I go to the all the objects where this set of edges is going to appear, and look at all the contribution, right? So now suppose this object is S, okay. Now this subject, now let's see where all this set of edges is going to be present. S is going to be present, I call it to any A subset of V minus S. Is it okay? Because if the vertices which it spans this set of edges is S, then which all vertices it misses out? Say some V minus S or W minus S in our case, right? Now for any A subset of W minus S, look at the graph induced on S union A. Is it not this set of edges present here? tell me which all graphs this set of edges will represent. I fix some set of edges, right? I fix some set of edges, okay? Which all graph, which all induced graph of my graph, all this set of edges will represent. Exactly. Which are there plus any graph induced which must contain this plus some more, right? So this set of edges is going to be counted into this number for all these graphs, and each time it gets counted with a sign, which we know that if it is a proper subset by this formula, it's 0, and that's trivial also. If you look at this way, there are 2 to the power number of subsets where this is going to be counted, and half of them are even subsets, half of them are odd subsets. So half of the sign will be -1, half of the sign are +1, they are going to contribute to 0. It's a basic principle. I mean, okay, now coming back to this, but this algorithm works for general graph. Why? I mean, where did we use the fact that it's a bipedal graph? No, we never used it, right? Are you convinced about that fact or not? So if we are going to use something for bipedal graph, we should get something more, get something better. And how are we going to do this? We have to change this family F in a proper way. Can you come up with a family? Look, he said H subsets of size n by 2, and we took this family and we got this formula. What is the other object can you come up with? What is the other family? Let's call it F bipartite, such that I don't have to run through all subsets. I mean, I can improve from this to say 2 power n. I am still looking for a perfect matching, right? So that's fine, but I may want to put some additional constraints, right? H subset of size n by 2, say that saturates U, one side. I am only looking for those H subsets of size n by 2 which at least covers the whole of left side. I don't care whether it covers right side or not, but it covers whole of left side. What? Look at the good objects there. What are the good objects there? Every object takes care of left side, but only good objects take care of right side also. Now, how can we use this to get a better formula for bipartite graph? This is independent set. So every graph induced on here is independent set. So what are you going to do? Okay, let's, if you say so. Okay. Right? Now what? What is that? Tell me. Look, I wrote something which was easy for you to compute. This number, come with some number like that, right? Come with some function like that, right? Something, right? Which should reflect everything in a totality. If this is what I have to count, right? And if this is what I write there, then what's the point then, right? So this kind of objects in a simple way, like here expressing these objects in a simple way is okay, take all subsets. Yes, please tell me. What you want? E(g) of x, choose n. Okay, let's take one. Okay, what you want? Let's see. E x union u and then what? N. Is this your suggestion? Think. This can contain object which is not even there in FP. It may not saturate everything in this. So, do you understand why? Look, at end of the day, this is the total number which the object is counting, and this is what we are filtering. So now, if this set of object definitely counts this, but it also counts some more objects for those objects which do not saturate my left hand side. For an example. Mm-hmm. Each of? Degree of vertex. Product, let's call them I going from 1 to n. Let's call this vertices E1 to U2 to UN. Okay. Now what you want? Not good enough, right? Yeah, this definitely counts this object in the beginning, but does this count? But do you think this formula is correct? Huh? Number of edges going out of UI, going out of U in, huh? Number of going out of U. I don't get it. What's number of edges going out of U? Induced? Okay, let's. You don't agree that this is correct? Okay, so let's call it degree of UI in graph induced on Is it correct? Is this correct? Is this correct? Is this formula correct? Yes sir, no sir, I don't know sir, I don't care sir. How many you say yes? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, and how many you say don't? No, it's not correct. How many you say that you don't know? And how many you don't care? Is it that hard to prove? Like, what you have to do now? Look at every good object and look at every bad object. See that a good object is counted exactly once and see that the bad object is counted equal number of times with -1 and equal number, so their contribution is 0. That's it. So first of all, do you agree that this size is nothing but this cardinality of this object is this? Do you agree to this? How many of you agree to this? H subset of size n by 2 that saturates U. This is equal to this number. How many of you agree to this? Let's see. Oh. How many edges are there in this subset? I should not say n by 2, let us call it n because we are using n, okay. Now okay, here we will write the edge incident to U1, here we will write edge incident to U2, here U3 and here incident to UN, right. Now how many edges can be incident to U1? Okay. How many edges incident U2 could be there? There is not much more than that. This is trivial. Okay. So now if I ask you how many FB which is of FB now such that these endpoints, the other guy's endpoints, each inside, so think of this way, right, big guy and there is a X here. I want those objects in FB such that everyone goes here of size n, then it is easy, right. For the first place I look at the first object and look at how many of its neighbors are there in X. How many of the second guy's neighbors are there in X? So this is precisely what it is, right. Degree of UI in G graph induced in UF, or basically number of neighbors of UI in X. This is what it is. This is the same object. How hard it is, how different it is, right. Now hey, so because of this, now look at a good object. What is a good object? When it covers complete right side. At that point what is X? Is equal to V. So it is counted exactly once. Now look at a bad object. Why it is a bad object? Because this set of edges does not span whole of the right side. So suppose they all in the right hand side, they all go and join here. So and these are the people who are left. Now this set of guys are going to be counted here as well as here as well as any guy here and any subset here, right. So now you fix X as these objects, then this bad guy is counted for everyone which is contained inside T, which is contained inside X. So this object is going to be contribute to 0. So we are happy. Look, it's the same principle. I mean, if you cannot get convinced in 3 days that this is how it works, and you are not going to work hard and going to make yourself understand, then not much I can do about it. It's not that I am using any magic or I am not using any big fancy mathematics. It is just simple way of looking at it, simple way of counting what remains, what cancels out, and nothing more than that. Things cannot become more simpler than this. Okay. Now notice we have reduced this time complexity to 2 power n. Okay. Here is an exercise for you. Let's see if you people can do this exercise. Okay. And tomorrow I want all these exercises written and given to me, handed in. Okay. So homework. Okay. Let M be a n times n matrix. Okay. Let M be an n time n matrix. For example, this is an n cross n matrix, right? A11, A12. I'm sure you have seen this, right? Right? I'm sure you have seen this, right? Now I defined permanent of M as summation. Sigma is a permutation in Sn, okay, such that what it is? It is let's say right. This is the definition of permanent of M. If you know this, remember what is determinant? No, there is a sign here. That is the determinant which can be computed in polynomial time, but if without sign it cannot be computed in polynomial time. Now your objective is obtain a formula for P, for permanent of P, such that it can be evaluated in 2 power n time and some polynomial. Okay. Look, of course I can compute this by going over all permutation, which is n factorial permutation, and do this, right? But that will take how much? This formula has how many terms? N factorial terms. Okay. I want a formula using maybe inclusion exclusion where the number of terms is at most 2 power n. That's it. And the only hint is that we have done it today. Okay. Is exercise clear? I think I will stop it, sir.